Today I want to talk about what to do when your child is struggling with something really hard. So, most of the time when we teach something, us as parents, as educators, we teach a child a skill. And sometimes they get it like after the first or second time, but sometimes it takes a while to help them understand what exactly is going on. So, these are some of the strategies that I use in the classroom and with my own babies as well. Like, if they're really struggling with something and they're just really not getting it. So, these are some of the strategies I wanted to go over that I use. One of the first ones that I use with my girls and any student is I back up and I try to identify like where they're breaking down. So what that means is maybe the skill that I'm teaching them requires two or three other skills for them to get it. So for example, if they're reading the word cat and I haven't taught them how to sound out words, or I haven't taught them the word cat as just a sight word, they're not going to get it. So if I'm like trying to drill in the word cat, like why don't you get it, I have to think. I was like, okay, well, what's the step before learning this word? It's like, okay, well, they have to be able to identify the letters. They also need to know the sounds of the letters. And did I teach those effectively? And that's what I asked myself. It's like, did I teach those as effectively? And that's what leads me into the second strategy is how did I teach it? Because nobody's perfect. None of us are perfect. Even as us as educators that have been in the classroom for years and years and have stayed in the same grade and taught the same thing over and over again, certain skills, um, we have a bad day or we just leave something out. So I start to ask myself, it's like, okay, I start to go over my head. I was like, okay, what did I say? How did I explain this? How much time did I spend on this? And sometimes I'll find that, oh, I kind of glazed over this part, or I didn't effectively teach this, or I was in the middle of the lesson and I forgot what I was saying and we went off on a tangent because something more interesting came up, but I never looped back around to that skill. So you have to think about like those skills prior that they need to learn the word cat. How did you teach them? Did you spend enough time on it? Did you do a good job of teaching it? And we're all human. Sometimes we don't do a good job. Sometimes we have to back up and be like, oh, I had an off day. Like, the dog was bothering me. And the third thing is just figuring out how many different ways did I explain it. Because a lot of the times we can explain it one way, and if the child gets it, great. We just keep moving on. But if they're still struggling and you continue to explain it in one way, you need to reevaluate how you're explaining it and find a different way to explain it, because it's important, because we all don't learn the same. So if you are trying to teach the sight word of cat, and I'm just using the word cat as a simple word to discuss, but if you are trying to explain the word cat and they're not getting it and you're just using flashcards, maybe flashcards aren't effective for them. Maybe you have them write it out on chalk on the sidewalk or something, or you have little letters and then little magnetic letters, and you have them put it up and then say each sound for each word and then blend it together. Maybe you have them write it, and there's all sorts of strategies that you can use to explain a certain thing. So you really have to think about like, well, how on earth did I explain this? And okay, you identified how you explain it. Maybe it's not good enough. Well, it's always good enough, but maybe it's just not how your child learns. So you have to back up and try another way. So those are some of the strategies that I use with my own babies as well as with other students. It's like you have to really be reflective as an educator on what's going on, what you're teaching, how you're teaching it, and what you're doing to help them learn the best. So those are the strategies that I use when they are struggling with a certain task or skill. So let me know what are some strategies that you use in the comments below to help your child learn something new. And I will be back tomorrow with another video. Please subscribe if you want to, and pop on over and let me know what else you'd like to hear on this channel. And definitely check us out at projectconfettikids.com. New classes are popping up here pretty soon. I'll definitely let you know when they drop. And I will see you tomorrow.